soup cans and stuff have been around for a long time. How many decades has this chemical been in the liners?
It started to be used in liners in the 1950s. Before that, there was some sort of a vegetable-based resin. And what's really interesting about that is that one company called Eden Foods, it's a very small company in the world of canned products, but it's an organic food company. And about 10 years ago, even before BPA was on the radar of, the most well-educated consumer, the owner of this company was reading journals and became concerned. And he asked his can suppliers what was in the can linings that they provided to him. And he was really astounded to find out that they wouldn't answer him. They said it was a trade secret. And that was pretty outrageous to him. So at the time he was working with 3 suppliers. He finally got around to one supplier admitting to him that yes, the lining did contain BPA. And so he asked them, well, what did you use before you used this BPA containing resin? And they said, well, it was a vegetable-based resin. And he said, well, can I have that in my cans, please? And eventually, he did convince this supplier, which is Ball, a company that's very well known, to provide him with these cans. It costs him more, 14% more, which is, of course, passed along to consumers. But it's doable. And so far, even his brethren in the organic foods business have not taken advantage of this door that Eden Foods has opened.
How do I know which can has that lining in it? I mean, we just recently got him to put the ingredients on the can. How do I know which sports bottle has started using the better stuff?
Well, at this point, because BPA has become so controversial, many of the manufacturers are putting hang tags on their products that say BPA free. If you don't see BPA free somewhere on the bottle, either like I know the Camelback actually puts it on the plastic graphics that stay on the bottle, so you can know, so you'll always know it's BPA free. They don't even rely on a hang tag. But I think if you're looking for a water bottle and it does not say BPA free, it probably has BPA in it at this point in time.
It doesn't ever go away. You just your levels continue to build up over your life? Or does it do like mercury and it just kind of every day it breaks down? And if so, is there anything that we can use, any kind of, like they have the acacia thing and this drink and that, things that can maybe help take that out of your body?
Okay. Did everyone hear that question? The chemicals that I write about, some of them are very persistent and very long-lived. This perfluorinated chemical family, it lasts forever in the environment. I mean, what's out there will probably never, ever break down. It's much more persistent than PCBs or DDT or anything that we've ever dealt with before. And in people, it has a really long half-life. That said, if you start to reduce your exposures, you do see, exposures coming down, and that's what the CDC is finding when it's tracking these pollutants in people. Some of the other chemicals, bisphenol A and phthalates, which are a plasticizing chemical that I write about, they are metabolized very quickly by the body, but we seem to always have traces of them in us because we're so frequently exposed over and over and over again, many times a day in every which way.
The water bottle says, has a 6, and I think that means it's got BPA in it. Is that accurate? And is there anything we can use besides glass?
The 6 is not BPA, and if you have a 6, that's better than a 7, or sort of. And the reason is that all polycarbonate plastic is going to have a number 7 stamp on it. But there are other plastics that have the number 7 too, including some of the new alternatives to BPA. And it's very confusing for consumers, and I don't recommend that people try to figure out what plastic they have based on the recycling code. If you have a 6, though, you can be sure that there is it's not made of polycarbonate plastic. And when I first became aware of the 5-gallon containers having polycarbonate or being made of polycarbonate, I started calling around to water companies. I live in Portland, and I started calling around to water companies, and no one was offering anything else. By 6 months ago, I did find a company that probably is doing what your supplier is doing, and is offering a different kind of plastic container. Well, it's not in your, it's a local Portland, Oregon company. And, you know, it's tough. I mean, plastics are a problem, you know, all plastics. Some are going to be more of a problem than others for the environment and for humans and for animals, but what are you going to do? You know, there are trade-offs. If you go to a glass water bottle, you know, it's heavy, it could break, and we all need to drink our water, especially you guys here in the Valley. So, yeah, it's a very, you know, there are trade-offs, and that's what I've done in my own life, is I've sort of figured before I was able to find that BPA-free 5-gallon water cooler jug, I kept using the one that I knew had BPA in it because I just felt like it was more important for me to have access to water than it was to eliminate that and not get as much water. So, you know, what I try to talk about in the book is that you know, this whole idea that better living through chemistry. In a lot of ways, how can you argue with that? It's very true. What the problem is that we've known so little about the toxicity of chemicals, and now what we're learning, I think, really calls for us to make some changes and to take action. And I'm hoping that we're going to see some of that in this Congress and with this new administration. And the question is the Environmental Working Group a good resource and a trusted resource, a sound site to go to for information? And my answer is unequivocally yes. I relied on the Environmental Working Group for a lot of information throughout the course of my book. They're doing great work. They're doing the work that the government should be doing. And the website is ewg.org. It has great resources, a lot of interactive resources where, for example, if you want to find out about the chemicals that are used in your personal care products, you can access the Safe Cosmetics database at ewg.org. You can type in the name of your product, and they have something like 30 or 40,000 products now inventoried.
How surprised are you on a daily basis that sometimes you still give way to those things that are really not good for you, and you could make your own personal self accountable?
It's trade-offs, you know. We can't completely divorce ourselves from. I mean, I like computers, you know. I want to be able to have water available when, you know, I know that the tap water is really not good at all. And I think that, you know, what I'm trying to get at is that there are so many things that that we're exposed to unwittingly that really shouldn't be in our consumer products. Once we, you know, when we've reached this level of understanding about certain chemicals, you know, bisphenol A should not be in water bottles. It just shouldn't. It shouldn't be in baby bottles. It shouldn't be in food can linings, and that's where I think we really have to push for change.
What's your next book? Are you working on one, and is it as interesting a topic for the consumer industry?
Well, I hope it is. I mean, I'm working on a book about the vitamin and supplement industry, and about how consumers are not very well served at the moment by the lack of regulatory oversight. Not that I think that regulations are the end-all and be-all, but at the moment, a lot of the ingredients in those products are sourced in China. They're not third-party tested, and people don't have an idea of what, you know, what the bottle says it contains is really what those capsules contain. So that's where I'm going next. And yeah, it is about, you know, giving consumers more information and changing the system so it works better for consumers. Thank you all very, very much for coming. You've been great, and I'll be signing books, so appreciate it.